Hi everybody, Matt and Tom back with you. Hope you're okay. Well, this week seems to be a week where I'm facing my fears. In the last video, I returned to Berrybrow Quarry where something chased me across the leaves. And today, we're heading to Norland, and we're eventually, not just yet, we're going to end up back in what I called in my previous video the Cave of Spiders. If you watch that one, when I get into the cave, something happens to the torch and never comes back on and leaves me in pitch blackness. And I got a comment on that video from somebody saying just before the torch goes out, they thought they spotted someone. Now, I've not been back to the cave since, and interestingly, we've now found a story from the 1800s. Could well have been somebody in that cave after all. Okay, so we're currently on our way to Copley, and we're going to find the cave a fair bit later on in this video. We're going to have a little walk there first. I'm going to show you an old church in the woods first. I think it's called St. Stephen's. It is closed, but it's not abandoned, if that makes sense. It's one of those things, when you see it, when you come through on the train here, you can see the roof of this church sticking out of the woods, and it's quite an impressive building. We'll have a look there and maybe a bit at the graveyard. The woodland next to it is also pretty gorgeous, and then we'll end up at the cave. Tom's brought his torch, and I've brought my gold trunks for the occasion. I have to wear something for that cave, it's tradition. So we start by going through Copley village, and it's called a model village, and you'll see why as we go past. And we get our first look at the church as well. So these rows of houses, known as a model village, were built in the 1840s by mill owner Edward Ackroyd, presumably for his employees. And the church, St. Stephen's, was built in 1860. There are other variations of these to be found across Halifax, including Ackroydon in Boothtown. So I headed across the bridge to get to the church, and the reason this church actually closed is because of what happened to this bridge. This bridge is from 2017. I think in the 2015 flooding, or 12, one or the other, the bridge itself washed away. Basically, it cut off the church. As you can see, if you can see it, it's there. But without the bridge, nobody could get here. So that was pretty much the end of the church. Now, it is a protected church. So it is looked after, it's not abandoned or anything like that, but we'll show it to you as we go past. Right.
I presume this isn't it then, is it?
What?
This isn't. No.
No,
I see.
no.
I see also. So this is.
Yeah, this is St. Stephen's. graveyard as well. Thank you. So it's certainly a huge church, and I think they occasionally do an open day as well. If I can find some pictures of what it looks like inside, I'll put that on. But yeah, the plan is not to hang around here really. We're going to head into the woods and then towards the cave. So in the middle of the woods is the rather stinky pool. Not even I am going in there in my Speedos. However, Tom, there is a mention later.
Yes, in the story the two gents they poke the stinky pool
Right.
with their sticks.
So we think it might be this. What I'll do, I'll take a picture of it and I'll add it later when we tell you the story. Okay, so before we reach the cave, a bit of info on what we are doing here today. So, Tom has found a story from the Halifax Comet, which is called The Legend of
Norland Moor.
Norland Moor, which is where we're pretty much heading to. And it involves the cave and events that went on there, and possible treasure hidden there. The problem is the story's from 1895 and tells of a story. It goes back in time basically, but how many parts are there?
4 parts.
And how many do we have?
3.
3. We miss out part 2, so we don't know unfortunately what happens in part 2. When we get to the cave, we'll explain what the story is a bit more, or Tom will, because he's got the story. And yeah, we'll see what should have been in that cave and who's involved. And we're very nearly there. So, as is tradition, when we come to the cave, I have to wear the worst outfit of all time. So I'm adding this one to the list. We're going to head to the cave in a moment. Tom's going to give us a bit of an overview of this legend of the cave, and then we'll head in. Now remember what I said at the beginning as well. When I came here, I was on my own. We've got Tom's torch. And when I was right at the end of the cave, the torch just packed up, that was the end of it. And of the comments I got on that original footage, somebody did just say they thought they could see a figure in like a crack in the cave. I'm not sure if it is there. I'm going to put the link on for the video at some point so you can have a look and see it. But you can see what happens when I'm in there and the light goes out and I'm in total darkness with a lot of spiders. It's quite an interesting video. It's my second fear for this this week's. We're not doing any more like this week. Anyway, I'm going to stop. Let's head to the cave. Let's find out the story.
So, sometime in the 1850s, there was a young lad, and he'd often heard a lot of stories about the cave underneath Norland Moor, and how there was treasure in this cave. And some people said that it was in a hole inside the cave underneath, and some people said it was in a shaft inside the cave, and some people thought the treasure didn't exist at all. But anyway, this boy of the 1850s, he went up. He tried to find the cave. When he got there, he found a man with a face that he'd never seen before, a really gaunt looking face, really someone who was on the edge. And he went and hid in a ruin which no longer exists, but I think may have been on that hump there, where he could still see the cave but not be seen. And he, in doing this, dropped his bag. He left the bag, and the man took the bag and went off down into town. So the young guy comes back and he has a look in the cave. What he finds is a load of blood and some garments.
In there. Come, join me. Right, we're in the cave, and show you how dark it is. Once you get past this rock, which we have to climb over, you can't really see anything because it drops down into the darkness. Watch your head. Yeah, okay, watch your head all the time. Right, so, although it looks like that's it, once you get up to there,
Yeah.
it goes down, so.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And if you look at these, yeah, so where you are there on the right hand side, I think that was a former passageway.
Yeah.
That's now caved in.
Absolutely. So that might be where the treasure was, in the roof of it.
Yeah, but if you put your torch up there, it goes up a heck of a long way. Right, let's explore. Right, so oop. So before I leave here, will you just shine that way so you can see? So we think that was a passageway.
Oh yeah, it does go back.
And yeah, now caved in, and you can hear water dropping as well. So not sure what would have been beyond there originally. Yeah, so we've got to make it through down to there. You can see how high it is as well. Yeah. And we think, did he say the treasure could have been on a ledge as well, high up ledge.
High up ledge, yeah.
Plenty of those. Right, I'll switch off so we can get a bit further up. Okay, so we are in the cave. We've got to go down into the darkness yet. But if I come onto the camera, you can see perhaps a bit more about how big things are here, how high up it goes. Yeah, it's a fantastic cave. And yeah, Could this really have been where that treasure was? Let's head down into the depths. Right, so heading down to the bottom. That is as far as we can actually go, but I think you can see at the bottom, if we wanted to, we could perhaps creep through a few various other locations, but safety wise, this is as far as we'll go. Alright. Yeah. So the person who commented on seeing somebody thought they could see somebody there in that corner. Again, that's it's your choice whether you think there is somebody there or not. Watch the video, tell me what you think. Do we have any more of our story for the legend?
So, yeah, the lad comes back here, and he finds all this blood, doesn't he? And he finds a garment. He then runs off, and he decides to come back with a friend because he gets worried about this man coming back. And he comes back with his friend, who's called Tom, strangely, and they come back with rope and everything, and they're trying to find the treasure. And they're down here, and they disturb the man that had been there the previous day. They disturb him because he'd come back, and he thinks it's the police. He shouts about the police, and he runs off, just the man. A few days later, the man's found dead, drowned in the canal at Salterheadle Locks. And in his note, it explains that he was an embezzler, and he'd gone to the cave to kill himself, and had hidden his money here. And he'd come back to get his money, but hadn't managed to get it because he'd been disturbed. And thus, somewhere in this cave was 800 notes of English money embezzled from a building society. However, the lads came back and back again, but they never found the way through because it had subsided somewhat.
Okay.
Which is giving me the ick right
Yes.
now, as you can probably tell.
Wow.
I think there might be a bone on that ledge.
Something there, isn't there? Yeah.
There's a bone.
Yeah, but you can see how the ledges, you know, something could be hidden anywhere. I mean, there's all, yeah, all little cracks. Anyway, I'm going to give you the torch back, so you're happy.
It's amazing how untouched by human or animal. Usually when we're in caves like this, you usually find like badger mud or something.
Yeah.
And there's spiders aplenty, but there's not there's not a load of, I mean, there's a couple of bits of bottles, but there's not loads of bottles, and there's not graffiti everywhere.
No, it's a good cave.
It's a good cave.
It is. All right.
There's a bit more bone here,
Is it?
I think.
Wow.
Oh no, it's not bone. No. I reckon that is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. I'll see you in a minute. So whilst I'm in here, I just want to show you what's at the bottom here and the different little passageways that you could use to go further if they hadn't quite subsided. Tom's gone. He did really well there. He doesn't like things like this, so I'm very proud of him for being in here filming. But yeah, let's just look a bit further. So again, for me, it was interesting that there was a comment that somebody was in there. But being careful, don't worry. It does also go further down and under there. You can see some metal there as well. But yeah, it has collapsed since, and that is as far as we can go. that is back in the Cave of Spiders, and not many spiders this time. That's the corner. Can't see anything there this time, as well as the story of the Norland treasure. So I'm going to head out of here, hopefully, and join Tom, get cleaned up, and we'll carry on and show you a bit more of what's around here, and possibly another entrance to here. Okay, let's just get a proper good look here where we were before. But yeah, no way past anymore, sadly. Okay, there we go, out of the cave again.
Dirty knees.
Dirty knees, blood.
Like gravy wrestling all over.
Yeah. Please be careful if you do come here. Don't do well, certainly what I do. Do what Tom does. Look and go. Don't explore. Whoever knew that I'd be the crazy one out of the pair. So that's the cave. What do you think?
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
And it looks like a quarry cave, but in this story, you know, it does say there's subterranean levels and pools.
Yeah. And there are things beyond it, aren't there? So, yeah.
And it has obviously caved in a lot in the last 175 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame that bit's blocked off. But there is apparently an entrance we might be able to spot across the other side. Yeah.
20-inch hole.
Yeah.
That's mentioned in the story. That I would say
Yeah.
is a 20-inch hole, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And that obviously goes beyond. Can't really get any closer to show you.
Get in it.
What? Got my leg, Tom.
Gangrene's all right. Go on.
Cyril. So there are cliffs and quarries all along here. I don't think there's any more cave entrances, but it's still fairly impressive.
The quarry exposed the fault line.
Yeah. Okay guys, there we go. That is the story of the legend
Of
Norland Moor. So the treasure hidden in the cave and some of the story that went alongside it. We don't have a name of the person who wrote the article, do we?
No.
And we have part 2 missing, so we're not quite sure what happens in the middle.
Well, he knows embezzlement of a building society.
Yeah, and then takes his own life.
His own life.
Gosh.
And a previous treasure. And also there's some mention of sort of minerals in the walls.
Right. Wow. And a stinky pond.
And a stinky,
which we found as well.
Pond.
Okay, we will leave it at that. I need to go and wash my legs down. And we'll see you very soon for the next video. Take care. Bye for now.